Good evening and welcome to another episode of the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. Got a smaller crew tonight, but that's okay. Just me and Rafa. So we want you guys to jump in there on the conversation on Facebook Live so that we can hear from you and everything. We're going to be breaking down the UTSA Women's Soccer scrimmage versus University of Incarnate Word that we were at on Sunday and just kind of previewing a little bit of UTSA women's soccer. But first and foremost, Rafa, I know you are back in school and everything. So how are you doing this evening, my man?
Good. Had a road trip up to Austin to visit a couple of schools, and so back at it for the grind up this next few weeks. But I'm excited for this weekend. Rivalry game, South Texas rivalry game between us and RGV.
Copa Tejas.
Yeah, Copa Tejas. Hopefully we do win the Copa. This will be our last game for the Copa, so hopefully everything falls through for us. And then also we get the 3 points. That way we can jump in, hopefully within that fifth place spot, after Saturday night.
Absolutely, yeah. And we'll get into the standings and everything here for San Antonio FC in a little bit. I know we were just talking before the show and everything with you jumping back on the road about the Football Life special. They're on Amazon Prime that I kind of just started recently. So I know you had mentioned that you might start watching that as well. Rafa with the haircut there, I didn't comment. Thomas St. George already firing off there on the Facebook Live. So Rafa looking good tonight. But yeah, if you haven't checked out A Football Life yet, it's a show that I've kind of been watching just in my free time and everything. And of course, the first show that I watched, the third episode, was about Bayern Munich. So that was kind of where I started. But it was more about just chances in soccer and everything. And it was really interesting when they broke down just kind of the science behind how many goals are lucky in a game versus unlucky. And so if you guys haven't checked out Football Life, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But the fourth episode was actually a feature on Iceland's national team and their run here in the most recent World Cup. And there's a lot of interesting information about the PK save that they had for Messi and that goalkeeper and just kind of how that was a dream come true for him and their coach and everything. So when you guys are done watching the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable, don't go watch it now, but go check out A Football Life there on Amazon Prime because we may be talking about some of that stuff here a little bit more on the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. But let's start off with the University of Incarnate Word versus UTSA Women's Soccer Program. For those not familiar with the UTSA Women's Soccer Program, they have a new head coach, Derek Pittman, in place. Last year was his first season there with the UTSA Women's Program. And I know Benji and Miguel over at Soy Saf have done some interviews with them and everything. They're on their YouTube channel. So go check those out. But tell us a little bit, Rafa, for those who aren't aware, about their season kind of last year and what Coach Pittman has been able to accomplish so far there for the lady.
For the Lady Runners, with Coach Pittman, actually, since he's taken over, he's done a really good job turning the program over. 2 years ago, did the research looking at their stats. In 2017, they had a 3-14 record, 2-8 in conference, and a lot of the games that they played, they were losing by 3 goals, 4 goals. But Coach Pittman did a hell of a job, working what he had, bringing in his system, and they finished last year with a 6-9-2 record, 2-6-2 in conference play. So a big improvement there. And a lot of the games that did lose were 1-goal games. So that's the big difference that he's made. Defensive wise, he's made the Lady Runners a lot better. And then watching the game over the weekend against Incarnate Word, I can tell that from watching one season to the other, they're a lot faster team. And I think that's going to help them in Conference USA when they start playing, especially North Texas, Middle Tennessee, Old Dominion. That speed's going to help them, and I think they should contend this year to get into the Conference USA tournament, and hopefully maybe they can sneak up on somebody and win a couple games.
Well, and as you mentioned, University of North Texas is going to be the true test there for the runners in their conference. Last year, that was the one team that they kind of struggled against, and the one team that really has a lot of success and a lot of talent there in their division and everything. So we'll wait and see, what they're able to do. 15 incoming transfers, though. You mentioned that a lot of their matches last season were pretty close, and they were losses by one or maybe two against a team like Rice or a school like Rice. How looking at their team, you mentioned they had a lot of speed. I know we kind of talked about, you really want that physical forward and everything, maybe that one piece. With 15 new additions to their roster, what do you think maybe is that one element? I know it's just one game, 3 30-minute periods there. But what's one element you could see maybe that they might need to add?
I think they need a little bit more aggressiveness up front. I think they do need to find a number 9 that's going to put some goals in there. Looking at at the scrimmage, they did play 3 periods. The 2 goals they scored, one was off of a PK, the other one was off a corner kick. But they do need to find a number 9 that's going to put that ball in the net, and also to cause a lot of problems up front on the attack, to kind of take away a lot of the pressure, especially like from their midfield. And the midfield had played great. I did see a lot of great touches on the ball, a lot of communication. You can really tell that the girls are really starting to have that chemistry and the flow of the game. So Coach Pittman's, like I said, kudos to him and his staff. He's done an excellent job, especially with 13 freshmen and 2 sophomores coming in. I can see a good future for this team. I want to be surprised for next year if they contend for the Conference USA, conference tournament championship, or the league, or the regular season title, and hopefully they get inside the NCAA tournament as well.
Well, and we were looking at their upcoming schedule and everything here for the UTSA Roadrunners women's soccer program. They got another preseason exhibition game there against Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, before going to Beaumont, Texas for the Cardinal Classic, where they face Louisiana Lafayette and Oklahoma State University, before coming home kind of for their first regular season game against Texas State, which is going to be on Friday, August 30th at 7 p.m. there at San Antonio, Texas Park West Athletic Complex. So hopefully maybe not as hot come August 30th is what it was out there at the match on Sunday. Again, it was a noon game instead of a 7 p.m. game, so might have a little bit different temperatures out there come Friday for that regular season game versus Texas State.
Yeah, it does. The heat did kind of take its toll a little bit on some of the players, but I think it's a kind of good way for conditioning for them, because playing in this type of heat, whether it's going to be their Cardinal Classic coming up in Beaumont, I'm sure they're going to experience that with the humidity, and also with the game versus Texas State. So, I'm looking forward for that game. The Texas State, the little mini Classico, the little 35 Classico for the college, the little 35 shootout. So that should be a good game. And so, if you haven't checked out the UTSA Roadrunners ladies soccer, come check them out. Go support them. You're going to see a really good game coming up on August 30th with Texas State.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, Coach Pittman doing a great job bringing those girls together. A few of them here, local products from Lee High School or, Classic Elite from some of the local teams. But looking at their roster, surprisingly, a lot of players not from San Antonio, a lot of players from outside the San Antonio area. So for it being, real early, because they'll play 2 seasons, this obviously being the first one, the girls are already gelling really well together. University of Incarnate Word also looked like they had some talented players out there. We'll do more of a profile and an in-depth look at them as well, but we do just kind of want to take the time to highlight each school individually and everything, and take a look at their upcoming season as they start to play some more matches and we get a better look at some of their players and everything. But that's one team that we'll definitely be following there in Conference USA this year.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward for the season, and like I said, come check them out August 30th, 7 p.m. They're at Park West. You don't want to miss. Go cheer the Lady Runner soccer team.
Absolutely, some talented players out there. So, like I say, plenty of names that kind of jumped out from the Blossoms and from the San Antonio Athenians and some of the WPSL teams here locally as well. So, getting to see them play there at the college level and compete for the city of San Antonio and UTSA will be a lot of fun this year. So, hopefully, we can get Coach Pittman on. He seems like a really good guy and everything, and talk to him about the upcoming season. And just, what goals they've set for themselves this year and everything. But it should be a good season for them to really grow off the success and build off that momentum, as you mentioned, that they were able to do last year. Well, that kind of sums it up there for the UTSA and UIW women's game there on Sunday at the UTSA West Athletic Complex. But we had another San Antonio soccer game this weekend that I think a lot of fans were really excited about. I think it was kind of just what the doctor ordered and not what anybody was expecting, kind of that undersell, over-deliver, if you will, from San Antonio FC. Early match against Reno, we kind of talked about our expectations and everything for that game. What did you think? Let's start with the 18, kind of the lineup and everything as it got announced, obviously. Billy not traveling with the club. We believe that may be more injury related from a knock that he might have taken in the game the previous week against Sacramento. So we'll wait and see if he's announced on the injury report or in 18 this week. But outside of Billy, what did you think of the initial roster?
I know Gomez was missing too as well, so I was a little concerned going in. As far as the strategy, was it going to be geared to let's hopefully get 1 point, try to get the tie, and then come back to San Antonio and get ready for the South Texas Clasico. But what we didn't expect is for them to really pull out, like I said, play out probably one of their best games of the year and get the 3 points out of Reno. And I think Reno came in with a big head thinking, we'll take care of San Antonio. We're at home. And I think they kind of remembered the last game that we played them. We're down 2-0. We came back and won that one 3-2. So I know they had a little revenge factor, but I think they didn't expect, a big game for some of our key players to really step it up. And like I said, this is probably one of the best games that we played, especially out of town too. So, because being an away game too, since we've been struggling. And I think now we're starting to win on the road now. And and we're doing it at the right time.
Peaking just at the right time, and Harry joining us at just the right time, and that transition at just the right time as I get some things squared away here for the show. We do have some highlights here from Pirano that we wanted to get into. Welcome, Harry, from your vacation back from St. Louis, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sorry I'm late. Wasn't sure I was going to be here. Had to get Rafa, 15 minutes of fame and
then crush his hope. He's back. I'm sorry, Rafa. You can't talk anymore. Harry is here. But if you weren't watching, Harry, we just recapped the UTSA UI. Okay, so he was watching. Look at that. The guy watches the show even when he's not on it. So so the 18, Billy out, obviously Gomez kind of missing as well. I think a lot of people really want to see Gomez's speed out there at the same time as Lopez and Pirano. It's hard, I think, though, to just get everybody that you want to see out there in the starting 11 at the same time. Harry, since you're just joining us, man, and you haven't had a chance really to jump in yet, what did you think of the lineup there for San Antonio FC from Coach Powell?
I thought it was interesting. Forbes not in kind of caught my eye. I know you guys mentioned before I hopped on that possibly injury related. So after our last conversation, I wasn't disappointed with it. Gomez was a little bit shocking to be on the bench. I know AJ was disappointed Barnaby wasn't in there. I think that was the biggest one to me that I would like to see. But I thought it was a strong lineup. You can't fault it. Obviously, Lopez is over Guzman at this time. I don't think we'll ever see both of them on the field at the same time, barring something major happening. But I thought he rolled out with an aggressive lineup, which it showed on the pitch.
Definitely. And, we kind of saw Moses Hernandez finally return to action and everything, which was good. But unfortunately, kind of saw Jamison, get carried off on a stretcher. I feel like it's easy to blame injuries every year, and I know they happen to every team, but I feel like with the success that we're having recently, if we could just kind of get everybody healthy and everybody available at the same time, with Pekka finally coming back and now Hernandez coming back, but potentially losing Jamison for a period of time. Do you think, Rafa, that, losing a guy like Jamison right now, just in terms of his passing ability and stuff like that, hurts San Antonio FC, or do you think it's more of a next man up mentality and not as much of a pain point?
It does. Yeah, it does hurt us a bit because he does have that chemistry with Frank, from them playing with the Galaxy. But like we've shown, that it's given opportunity for other players to step up, like Gallegos and Ethan and whoever else they plug in. So I think now it's starting. Like I said, our bench players, which was one of our biggest concerns, is how good is our bench going to be when we plug them in, or when we have a major injury. How are they going to react to it? And they're starting to come through. And Jameson came out. Restrepo stepped up, did what he had to do. Barnaby came up, did what he had to do. It's like I said. Now the bench is starting to get where they need to be at. And like I said, I think we should be getting ready for, like I said, for next week. We should be fine for next week. It does hurt losing Jamison, but I think we'll be fine with the other players that we have.
But that's the one position that you could lose, because that is a strength of the team as well.
That is the one position, and that's very true. And that's very true right now. That is, and that's what I was going to kind of ask you, Harry. We talked about, as Rafa mentioned, just the bench depth or lack thereof, kind of a couple months back. Not too many changes, really and truly, to the bench. Obviously, the addition of Lopez was a major one that kind of gave us a little bit more depth there up top and created some more depth there, I think, in our midfield, or at least, like you said, he made other players better, like Billy and like Jameson. What do you think has been the major change, Harry, in terms of our bench today and how strong we feel like they are, and versus a couple months ago when we had some serious concerns over the depth of this roster with all the young talent?
Well, I think the issue is people are starting to get healthy, because at the time we were super thin. It's the time of the year now where you want to roll out your best, 12, 13, maybe 14, and that's all you really want to play. So. Like I said here, where that's why I'm glad Mo's, coming, on the way back. I think he is something that will be beneficial down the stretch. Losing Jameson's going to hurt, but, as we discussed, that's probably the one position where if you had an injury, you're probably not going to see that big of a drop off, for that, because, they just, you plug Billy in or Gomez in or Barnaby in. And so there now. If you lose Guzman, if you lost Lopez, if you lost Pekka or LaHood, then I think it's a different discussion, or one of the center backs.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Then you're having a lot different discussion about the depth. But as long as you can keep those core pieces healthy and in good form, the two or three pieces that rotate, due to subs and stuff like that. Really right now on the stretch run, that's what you're looking for. You're not, I think that was our problem last year, is this time of the year, we were still trying to debate, hey, who should be starting, who shouldn't be. We have, outside of maybe one or two people that, maybe, you'd like to see started, who's going to be on the pitch for the most part.
Or your more aggressive lineup versus your more defensive lineup, minus a couple pieces. Sure, depending on how Powell wants to tweak it a little bit. So hopefully we should start to see a core group of guys now heading into the playoffs, because I agree with you, at this time of the season, this is where you really want to see that. And, I know you guys had mentioned on a previous show when y'all went out to New Mexico, the team just having the chance from this last road trip to really gel as a unit and everything that they really hadn't had a chance to do so far this season. So the timing for that is perfect. And you can't really argue the results, I feel like, that we've seen lately after that road trip. But I did kind of want to take a look at Pirano's goals. just to kind of walk through some key things that Rafa and I noticed. We're working through some of the teleprompter, Madden, ESPN stuff here still, but we were able to at least cut through a video that I think will kind of highlight some of the talking points we wanted to get into next with the addition of Frank Lopez and what we've seen recently here from Christian Pirano. So here's the first goal from Pirano. You can see him and Lopez both streaking down the field. And you see the space that Lopez creates there for Pirano with the two defensive backs marking him. Even there towards the end, you can see how he pulls them away, and Pirano able just to pull the trigger there from just outside the box. Right there again, you can kind of see that distance that Lopez creates there for Pirano. On this one, on that second goal, you've got the tackle there by Pekka. This situation here, Rafa, we were talking about, you got 6 there in the box on 2. You really don't see any options here for Pirano or any type of goal capability. And that's where just his skill level comes through in that left foot, and he's able to put that far post on the keeper when he really didn't have any options. So a couple goals there from Pirano. Really, I think that first goal, though, shows the effect that Lopez is having on opposing defenses and how they have to scheme for him.
Yeah, Frank's made a big difference being our number 9. He's keeping the defense very honest as far as, or also make decisions as far as do we double, basically on that play, he's being double teamed. And, they don't want to lose sight on him because he gets that ball, he's putting that ball in the net. That's the reason why, he's money, he's the bank, he's going to put the ball, the ball's in the goal. So, and that play with Pirano, that was a good shot. And finally, I'm glad they started taking shots on something we discussed. Is those shots from outside the 18, and I think that really raised his confidence up for that second shot that he took, and that was a little cheeky shot using the outside of his left foot and like a 2-on-stick situation. I think Reno didn't expect that ball to go in, and you can just see the expression on them, with their heads up or their hands up and their heads down. They never expected that to go in. But like I said, you can see Pirano's game is starting to elevate because of Frank, because of the spacing, and also a lot of the stuff that Frank does as far as with running without the ball. That's been the big difference in our offense, since we've had him.
Absolutely. And definitely on display there. After that, San Antonio FC not just going to be done there with 2 goals in the match. They continue to just kind of take it to Reno there. In the start of the second half, we had the red card there for Reno. Rafa, I know you kind of talked about that moment being one of those game-changing moments. So what do you think there kind of at the start of the second half?
Yeah, once they got that second yellow, and pretty much it was all downhill for Reno. It just opened up the game for us, and the third goal with Frank intercepting the ball, another outside shot outside the 18, really beautifully placed, and that's why Frank's goal up for goal of the week. So that was a nice shot, and we just did not let up on them. Barbie's goal, excellent steal from Restrepo, that drive down the line and that cross, and finding Barbie open inside the box. That, like I said, that basically was the nail in the coffin for Reno after we're up 4-0. And I know they got a goal later on, but the game was already over. Basically, SASC was on cruise control for the night.
Harry, did you have any thoughts kind of differently there for the second half after the red and the 2 quick goals there, or any thoughts that kind of jumped out there to you for the second half?
No, I did listen to the 1868 weekly podcast, and I guess Reno got dynamoed, we'll say, where San Jose brought down some players and forced them to kind of change their formation a little bit, from my understanding. And when you were listening to the feed, they were talking about that as well here. So I guess the players that came down, the one that got the red card was one that was from San Jose. So it was just kind of interesting hearing that dynamic, because we give shit to RGV with it being RGV 8 week. But it was kind of odd that, because with Reno you don't think of that.
Expected as much, yeah.
Expect that. And to me, kind of hearing about it, I wonder if they kind of took San Antonio lightly because they've, be honest, they've owned us in Reno. And like I said here, I think San Antonio is finally waking up and showing that they can be a dangerous team on the road, and that you can't take them lightly. And I'm not saying that Reno did, but and I know the Reno, the 1868 guys were a little perturbed. We'll just put it nicely about having the change, especially this late in the season. So to get the sweep of Reno, they've only got 6 losses on the season, 2 of them to us. Like I said here, but if you'd have told me we would have lost to Sacramento and beat Reno, I'd have said you're lying, but I'll take it.
I don't think anybody's going to complain exactly. We're all happy after that one. But as we kind of alluded to at the beginning of the show, we got a key matchup here against RGV. And nothing's going to be easy at this point, especially if we want to go for that number 4 spot and try and get that home game here in the playoffs. We've got to take every game we can. Rafa, what are your thoughts kind of heading into San Antonio FC's final Copa Tejas match versus RGV?
Well, for this coming Saturday, the mindset's got to be what we had in Reno. Mm-hmm. We have to go out with a killer instinct, especially what happened the first game down in RGV. Basically we just didn't show up. That should add a little fuel to the fire, a little payback, and, finish strong for the Copa Tejas. So hopefully we can win it by winning this last game, and then whatever happens with all the results. But the way we've been playing, even like I say, even with the loss of Sacramento, we had a couple of mistakes, but we didn't, we kept on fighting, and that's the thing with this team. It's now has a different attitude. We're gonna lose fighting, and we're just gonna keep on going and just not have our heads down. So I think we're gonna get another win this Saturday against the Briskets. So I like to call
the
Briskets, but I can see us winning 3-0. And I can see Frank getting another goal. Parado should have a big game. I think he's on that high, being named Player of the Week. I mean, that's a big confidence booster. And I just see his game from the beginning of the season. Now he's really grown as a player. And for a 19-year-old, that's a good sign, and he's peaking at the right time. And hopefully, he continues on, to have good results on the field.
Again, I think he's grown so much this season. I mean, we knew his footwork was there. We knew his speed was there. It was just kind of not an intelligence factor, but so to speak, more of a vision, I guess, or intelligence factor that, you kind of wanted to see from him. And, as we said on those last 2 goals just from this last match, those are perfect examples where in the past you could picture him kind of trying to take it down into the corner when he had that open look, and losing the ball there, trying to force something over across, and still, there's going to be certain times where you just want him to try and pull the trigger from inside the box. And when you try and take a guy on and it works, you're always celebrated. When it doesn't work, you always should have shot it. So it's going to be a little bit of a losing battle for him, I think, either way. But it is really good to see him not afraid to shoot. And just kind of looking at the box score from the game against Reno, I mean, that was pretty much one of the stories of the night with 21 shots on goal and 11 of them on target, so over 50% is pretty good conversion rate for San Antonio FC shooting, especially with that number of chances. So I feel like that's one area that they definitely have seen a lot of success in. Well, Harry, what about you, buddy? We got the Briskets coming up. We got Copa Tejas. We were trying to find the current standings on that, and on their website, we noticed that they were still old. I know Austin lost this past weekend, which kind of helped us in that regard, along with Copa Tejas. Do you have the updated standings there for the Copa Tejas by chance?
Yeah, give me a second here. I can pull them up here.
Okay, cool.
One second here.
And then again, too, while Harry's getting that, don't forget Friday, August 30th, 7 p.m. over there at the UTSA West Fields will be the UTSA Women's Soccer's first regular season game there against Texas State. So just a reminder for that as well.
Sorry, it's going to be a minute. But my thoughts on the game here, it's always a wild card because you just don't know who's coming down from
Dynamo.
From the Dynamo.
Actually, Dynamo's coach just got fired today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've been out and about.
Yeah, that was we were talking about that right before the show, so it'll be interesting to see if that has any impact on.
That'll be something that
I'll have to ask Edson about, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be on his podcast. Yeah, I'm not finding it here real quick here.
And that's okay. We'll get an update for the Copa Tejas standings. I wasn't sure if you had something there in front of you. I know, we've got a couple games ahead, so we should be able to get an updated look at that for you guys this week. But yeah, just tell us, Harry, what your final thoughts are then for the upcoming match here versus RGV. And we'll get back to our regular scheduled programming next week and everything, and probably have another guest for you guys.
Yeah, so for me, the final thought is, like I said here, on Thursday, I believe there's a supporters group, Crocketeers, Mission City, are all getting together to kind of help develop the chants and stuff, be more open, to there. So if you can, make the trek out, like I said here, I'll retweet it, and I'm sure Scott can retweet it on our Twitter account. But if you can go out and support, like I said here, it is, being semi part of a supporters group because I am a Crocketeer, but, I sit in my own section. I don't, go over and stand, because with AJ and stuff. But it is something that we all should, if we can get Toyota Field rocking again. We all know it's a little bit smaller nowadays, attendance wise here. So every voice matters. Like I said here, 118 and the Crocketeers can't do it all. It's got to be a team atmosphere throughout the fans in the stadium.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, so Thursday night there at Toyota Field, like you said, the chant practice. Dollar beers as well. They're going to open up alcohol sales and everything there inside Toyota Field. I know Thomas had tweeted out that the parking lot might be a little bit crazy because I guess there's some kind of hearing as well going on for some changes there to Morgan's Wonderland. So just be prepared for that. You may want to arrive a little bit early because parking may get limited from some other events going on that same night. But Rafa, obviously excited for the home game, to see you back out there on Saturday. What are your thoughts or final thoughts for this match?
I'm just looking forward for another win. I know I have family down in the valley. They like to talk smack about RGV or that's going to beat San Antonio. So it's payback time from the last game. They owe us one, and I remember last year we took it to them last year. We're going to do it again this year, and look forward for the following week to get another payback game against New Mexico. But like I said, it's the Clasico, South Texas Clasico. I'm pumped up, ready to go. So hopefully all the fans come out, let's send those RGV back with a loss, just get the place rocking. That's what we need. Our fans need to get rocking going, and our players will feed off of that, and you'll see, like I said, you'll see the results.
And I got one last thing here. There's going to be about 15 members of the Stampede and probably a few other RGV fans. So, like I said here, outside, the game, like I said here, we'll welcome them and share beers with them. But during the game, it's on.
Sound like Donkey Kong. We'll throw beers at them. No, I'm just kidding. Do not throw beers at him.
Not throw beers. Hey, Susie, we did not mean
drink beers
with
them.
Scott. I experienced that at the Club America game at the Dynamo, so I saw too much Tecate was on my jerseys and stuff.
Hey, that's not as bad as when we were at the Bayern game. I told you some Real Madrid fans called my brother Iron Robin, because he's got the receding hairline. But this has been another episode of the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. We'll see you guys out there on Saturday. As they mentioned, let's get loud for the club. Let's get excited. Let's motivate the guys on for another 3 points and hopefully another 3 goals. And we just keep this thing rolling for the rest of the season on into that home playoff spot. But we will see you guys again on Tuesday at 8 o'clock as always. This is the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. We out.
Out.